When I was looking at your posture during the side split, awesome. First and foremost, really good range, especially as someone that's a bigger dude. Check out the just girth on these ex-bodybuilder shoulders and biceps. It's hard to get into the side splits, especially if you got more muscle and you don't have a childhood history of doing stretching and stuff. But looking at yours, I think that your anterior pelvic tilt may be lacking, and then you're finding range of motion elsewhere.
That's probably true, because I do feel like I'm trying to lean my torso much more forward, and that actually doesn't really feel that comfortable. And me trying to actually get more upright feels difficult to actually get in that position. So I'm definitely trying to find compensations everywhere I can to actually get into that position.
So how you do that is not just expecting yourself in the side split to have that anterior pelvic tilt straight off the bat because it's such high intensity. You do it in those isolated drills, Cossack squats, your horse stances, really try to keep an upright posture, tilt your pelvis anteriorly. Even if you can't get as much adductor range, when you do go to your side splits, you'll find that you should be able to access more of that range of motion as well. Plus, I did ask how much hip flexor work is Will doing. He used to do it in the past, but not as much recently. And being able to do the hip flexion, have strength there, helps you to tilt that pelvis anteriorly as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's my biggest struggle is actually getting my hips in that position. Because I feel like if I worked on that more, I could probably get everything a bit more aligned, and then my torso will be more upright, and it'll probably feel a lot more easier to actually hold that position.
100%. And the other thing we were talking about is there's so many different drills for side split. If you go on the internet, you can be really overwhelmed. There's like 50 other different squat variations, hinge variations, etc. It's about ticking the box of each category. I'm doing something for my adductors with a bent leg. I'm doing something for my adductors with a straight leg. I'm doing something for my glute medius. And picking a few things and doing them really well is much better than putting a laundry list of 50 different drills that you rotate between and you never actually make any progress.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's all about finding what is specific to you as an individual, as opposed to seeing what's on social media and then just trying out, oh, that looks cool. This is a new drill I haven't tried before. But yeah, you got to figure out what your weakness is and then specifically target that if you want the best progress.
And I'd measure to manage your progress as well, because if you just do stretching and mobility stuff without tracking it, it can be really airy-fairy. Where am I? Where was I? Where am I going? But if you film yourself, you write down how much weight you're lifting in the different progressions, it actually gives you that motivation to try and progress as well.
Yeah, 100%, because it's a bodyweight movement, so it's quite hard to actually measure it. But it can be easily done with like putting something underneath your groin, like a yoga block. And so when you do feel like you can actually reach that point, then you go even deeper the next week. It kind of makes you feel like, oh yeah, I'm making progress, But if you don't do that, it's like you said, am I making any progress? Where am I going with this?
Yeah. I also find that contract relax is super helpful. So when you get to that point of stretch resistance, you do a contraction for 5 to 10 seconds of around 7 out of 10 MBC. So if 10 out of 10 is as hard as you possibly can, you do it to about a 7. Hold it, let go, relax, take deep range, and then do it again for a few cycles. I find that that's really helpful for increasing ROM.
Yeah, totally. I also like to do dynamic stuff. Like you would have seen me, I kind of hinge back, kind of bounce up and down a little bit. That kind of helps me to get a little bit more depth and range of motion. So I'll generally do that and combine it with the contract and relax, which makes me get even deeper.
There's a lot of exploration when it comes to mobility. It doesn't just have to be you're staying in this one track. You have to use specifically this set rep range whole time. That can be paralyzing, but it's also freeing that you don't have to do it for exactly this. But the key thing is writing it down, trying to improve over time. But then also don't be afraid to auto-regulate. You don't have to be super strict because you have to do 3 sets of 30 seconds. If you're feeling great on the day, don't restrict yourself. If you're feeling terrible, don't just push yourself into pain. Especially with the stretching stuff, you shouldn't play around with it because when you're getting to that point of end range stretch where it's borderline painful and risky.
Yeah, you really have to listen to your body. Like I think with everything, you just have to listen to your body, and every single day is different, And I think also depending on what you have in your program, if you do something that's related to, let's say, the adductors and you're doing side splits, then you're going to be mindful of that as well. So like you said, auto-regulation, seeing where you're at and feeling it, you really got to feel it. I think that's super important.
How long will it take to get the side splits is highly individual. I know this is the question on everyone's lips. They want to know in exact weeks, days, months, minutes until they unlock this end stage goal. But I found for most people, 12 to 18 months depending on their start point, depending on their genetics. But it may even take years because our friend Will here is a battler with the side splits.
Yeah, so I've been on this journey for give or take 3 years. It's been very up and down. I've had little injuries and little niggles here and there. I've been experimenting. I've been trying lots and lots of different things, but it's something that you have to just keep consistent with. Like I do see like I am getting small progress. I think my just anatomy is probably not as suitable for this particular movement. Whereas all these other movements that I can do, I feel like they're much easier. So I think, you just gotta keep grinding and just trust the process.
It also took me a good few years to get calves to floor. So I think Will and I have pretty similar range of motion, and it's pretty normal for people to get stuck at this point, but don't despair. Another thing that's really important is range of motion gains are not linear. For some reason in the world of mobility, people think, every session I should be making consistent, steady gains in range of motion. Think about your strength training with calisthenics or weights. You're not linearly progressing until the end of time. Your range of motion flexibility will go through ebbs and flows. You might have a really good day, but then it might take you another 3 or 4 sessions to beat your range of motion. So try not to have that misconception that you should always be progressing, because it's not realistic.
Yeah, no, it's totally not realistic at all. Like as a beginner, you probably will progress a lot, especially if you're just starting the side splits. But the more advanced you get, those little progressions are so small, like something like 0.1%, if that. So yeah, you have to keep going, just be consistent. You might have to change things up here and there. But yeah, you just, like everything, when you get really advanced, you have to keep pushing it.
I would recommend sticking to the same exercises for around 6 to 8-ish weeks to give yourself enough time to progress. We just spoke before about so many exercise options. Don't get distracted. Put them in the exercise toolbox for a later period of time. But your body needs that adaptation process. It needs sessions on sessions to improve. Not getting distracted is one of the differentiating factors between people who improve with mobility and those who just spin their wheels and just chase the shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, I think also like even when you get to that point where you're reaching a plateau, when you get quite advanced and far in your journey, it's very easy to kind of just go on a side trip somewhere else, like doing just random drills. But yeah, like you said, you got to stick with it for a period of time before actually switching into something else to give you a new stimulus.
I would also say don't get greedy, because it's so tempting when you're having either a good or a bad session to just get frustrated or overexcited and stretch just that little bit more. And I've done this at least 2 times with my side splits, where I've had a few grade 1 and grade 2 strains just by getting impatient and just wanting the end result today. And that's what I'd tell my younger self. It's what I tell myself right now, and also you guys, just to not be in a rush, especially with the mobility stuff.
This stuff takes time, and you're gonna be here for a very long time, hopefully. So it's something that you need to appreciate the journey. It's not about reaching that end goal anyway, because once you reach that end goal, then what, right? But throughout the process of getting towards that goal, you learn so many different things. Like I mentioned, I've been on this journey for 3 years already, and I've learned so many things about my body. Whenever it's getting injured or making progress or not making progress, it's stuff that I can actually take with me. Whereas if I actually got to that goal, I probably wouldn't have learned anything. So yeah, definitely appreciate and embrace that journey.
These lessons that you gain from the slow progress or plateaus, if you didn't have them, okay, you just do the side split itself, then you'd unlock it. 1, where's the fun in that? And 2, as frustrating as it is in the moment, you have no choice but to look at your program and what's missing. Am I doing the side splits every day trying to force progress? Have I been switching exercise all the time? Is my intensity off? You have to look at that. It's the same thing as getting injured, where you're forced to take stock. Whereas if things are going well, we don't have that kind of impetus to reflect as well.
So you definitely need those struggles. Like how I see it is like, I don't see these injuries as a negative thing. I see it in a more positive thing, right? Because obviously this happened for a reason. It happened for me to learn something. And just because it's a setback, it'll make me a much better person in terms of how do I approach this later on, and what do I need to do? What did I do? What can I do better? How can I teach other people how to do this? How they can be more wary about these certain things. So I think it's just approaching it in a way where it's a bit more positive, where you can always progress in different pathways.
At large, what is the point of doing side splits? Because someone might come across this and say, oh, yeah, it looks cool. Van Damme splits. I've seen this in some martial arts movies. What's the point of doing side splits?
I think it's more about just gaining more strength in the ranges of motion. Like, there actually has been times where I have slipped and went into a position that looked like a side split, and I managed to actually stop myself from going too far out. So I think in those kind of instances where it comes to injury prevention, that might help, especially as you get older. It's a challenging goal that is taking me so long that I want to keep going with it, even though I don't know if I'm going to get it or not, but I want to see where it can take me. And I think that's what people need in their lives. They need to be challenged, so that in order they can get they can grow as a person.
Couldn't agree more. Side splits are fun just for the act of doing side splits themselves. And my goal one day when I've got a kid is to do the full side splits, take a nice family photo with me holding young Daniel or young Danielle, and just have that in the family archive for the test time. Cheers, man. You don't have to spend hours stretching every single day. Just click the top link in this video to get our Fitness FAQs mobility programs. I'll teach you how to move freely and feel good in your body.